Human wave attack. Human wave attacks are strategies where large numbers of soldiers charge enemy positions repeatedly to overwhelm defenses through sheer manpower. This tactic has appeared in different periods of history, especially when commanders believed numbers could compensate for weaker technology or firepower. During the Korean War, Chinese forces used massive coordinated assaults at night to pressure United Nations troops and force defensive withdrawals. The strategy can create psychological shock, but it often comes with extremely high casualties. Raiding. Raiding is a strategy focused on striking specific targets quickly before retreating. Unlike full invasions, raids are usually limited in scope and aim to damage supplies, gather intelligence, or spread fear. Viking raids across Europe became famous because small groups could attack coastal settlements with speed and unpredictability. The strategy works best when mobility and surprise are more important than holding territory. Carpet bombing. Carpet bombing is an aerial strategy where large areas are bombed continuously to destroy infrastructure, defenses, and morale. Instead of targeting a single location precisely, entire sections of cities or battlefields are saturated with explosives. During World War II, bombing campaigns against cities such as Dresden showed how air power could devastate industrial and civilian areas alike. The strategy was intended to weaken the enemy's ability and willingness to continue fighting. Island hopping. Island hopping was a military strategy used mainly in the Pacific during World War II. Instead of attacking every enemy-controlled island, forces captured only key strategic locations while bypassing heavily defended positions. This allowed the United States to move closer toward Japan while avoiding unnecessary losses. Captured islands then became bases for aircraft and supplies, gradually tightening control across the Pacific Ocean. Counterinsurgency. Counterinsurgency is a strategy designed to defeat guerrilla fighters and insurgent groups within occupied or unstable regions. Unlike conventional warfare, the focus is often on controlling territory, protecting civilians, and reducing local support for insurgents. During conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan, military operations combined combat missions with efforts to rebuild infrastructure and maintain local security. The strategy recognizes that winning public support can be as important as battlefield victories. Strategic bombing. Strategic bombing targets factories, railways, fuel depots, and industrial centers rather than frontline troops. The goal is to weaken the enemy's economy and ability to produce weapons over time. During World War II, Allied bombing campaigns focused heavily on German industrial production and transportation systems. By disrupting manufacturing and supply movement, strategic bombing aimed to reduce the enemy's long-term ability to wage war. Naval supremacy. Naval supremacy is the strategy of controlling the seas strongly enough that enemy fleets cannot operate effectively. Countries with naval dominance can protect trade routes, transport armies, and isolate opponents economically. The British Empire relied heavily on naval supremacy for centuries because control of oceans allowed influence across distant territories. In many wars, dominance at sea directly shaped the outcome on land. Elastic defense. Elastic defense is a strategy where defenders do not hold every position rigidly. Instead, they fall back gradually while forcing attackers to overextend themselves. Once the enemy advances too far or becomes disorganized, counterattacks are launched against weakened positions. Germany used forms of elastic defense during later stages of World War I to reduce losses while exhausting attacking forces. The strategy depends on flexibility rather than fixed resistance. Night warfare. Night warfare uses darkness to reduce enemy visibility and increase surprise. Armies throughout history have launched attacks at night to bypass defenses, confuse opponents, or hide troop movement. During many ancient battles, nighttime assaults caused panic because communication and coordination became far more difficult in darkness. Modern technology has changed night combat, but controlling visibility and surprise still remains important. Shock cavalry. Shock cavalry was a strategy where mounted soldiers charged enemy formations with speed and force to break morale and defensive lines. In medieval and ancient warfare, heavily armored cavalry units could scatter infantry if formations collapsed under pressure. Knights and horse-mounted warriors became symbols of battlefield dominance because momentum itself became a weapon.